Right, so here we are, everyone. This is Lake Coniston, or Coniston Lake, or as the locals just call it, Coniston. This is where it all happened. Donald Campbell, CBE, 1967. Just touched 300 miles an hour before he turned his boat into a plane. Welcome everyone to Phil Ryder's Diaries. There she is. There she is. Yeah, just want to get people to have a quick look at that, because it's an interesting story behind Bluebird and Donald Campbell and all that stuff and nonsense. There we go. Let's get situated here. Coniston. Donald Campbell famously took Bluebird Mark 7, I think it was by this stage, up to 302 miles an hour, I think it was, and went for his second pass, because I don't believe it's a Guinness record until you do a pass each way. And curiously enough, for an adventurer, for an entrepreneur, for an experienced boatman, especially travelling at such ridiculously high speeds, he knew better than to do a second run so soon after the first run, while the waters were still choppy, before it was smooth, which is what he needed for these sorts of speeds. And he did his second run, and his boat flipped, and of course it crashed at tremendous speed, and his body was lost until something like 1997. And many people thought it was a strange thing to do, and I think you need to look at the whole picture, everything around that world record attempt, before you realise exactly why he did it. Oops, what we got? Nothing good. So what you need to remember is, back in 1967, the age of adventurers and explorers, you know, the whole Donald Campbell and the Sir Edmund Hillarys, that time was gone. That was back in the 50s. You know, Great Britain was on a wave of post-war successes. You know, we had the Queen's coronation, we had the conquering of Everest, even though as a New Zealander, but we claimed that as our own. And Donald Campbell was trying to break land speed records and water speed records. But by the 60s, all that time had gone. You know, the Beatles were in, Rolling Stones were in. Nobody cared about explorers and adventurers anymore. They cared about twist and shout and love me do. And so here you have an adventurer in an old boat, I mean a Mark 7, I think it's a Mark 7, Mark 5, Mark 7, something like this. It was an old design, a good design, but past its best by a good 4 or 5 years. I mean, imagine if you had a Formula 1 car that was 5 years old, it wouldn't be competing, would it? It wouldn't be able to. So what Campbell did was throw more and more promise into an aging design, until basically it couldn't take any more. Now, there's arguments about whether Campbells was in an awful lot of debt at the time. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. And there's some people who call each second pass on that day suicide, which is a little unfair to the remaining Campbell members. But out of place, out of character, yeah, I guess so. If nothing, just from a personal safety point of view. But still, there you go, Coniston. Coming out of Coniston, heading towards Ambleside, this is the 593. And it's not my favourite road, to be perfectly honest. It's a little too thin for my liking, the road surface isn't particularly good. And I've been putting off this A road, and it's an A road. I mean, to you it might look like a country lane, but this is one of the major routes that goes around the Lake District. And I've been putting this one off for some time. So I thought, as we're experiencing something of an Indian summer, I mean it's the first week of September, all the kids gone back to school, which is lovely because it means I get the park back to myself again, shortly before all the Sterident sets, ramblers, make their way in. So yeah, a bit of an Indian summer. Hurricane Bertha very happily took away summer for us back at the beginning of August, and it never really recovered after that. But today's warm, it's dry, it's not particularly sunny, which is great for the video because there's not that huge difference in contrast between bright and shadow from the trees to deal with. Still got the race can on, which is lovely. And as we start making our way into autumn, it'd be nice just to touch on the subtler things of riding round here. I've already mentioned before in previous vlogs what you do about finding rocks the size of footballs in the road and sheep wandering out from the fells. Lambing season's always very good. And I avoided most of summer for the traffic, he says in a 4-car queue. And I've said previously, unless I can overtake all four, might as well just sit behind the back one. Because they're only going as fast as the guy in front anyway. But if you can get past them, I will. The hardest part is actually talking and concentrating at the same time. I'm a typical guy, I can't multitask. I have trouble walking and chewing gum at the same time. Yeah, the problem with riding come autumn is that all these trees are going to shed leaves and it's going to turn into this horrible brown mulch, which is as slippery as slippery gets. Actually, that's a lie. PTFE is a lot slipperier, and so is ice. But it's not very nice, let me tell you that. What have we got here? Caravanette or caravan. Sometimes you've got to be careful about these because, for one, they're too big for the road, and for two, quite often they're foreign. where the driver sits on the other side of the road, and they don't always realise how close they are to the hazard line. This doesn't bother me on a motorcycle, of course, because across the handlebars I'm a third of the width of a car. But when I'm out on shift in a 3.5 ton van, it makes a difference. Right then, scale width. So there you go, that's just a quick rundown on the 593 Coniston and a little bit of spiel about Donald Campbell. All sourced from Wikipedia, so don't blame me if it's wrong. Other than that, take care everyone, and I'll see you all soon.